Welcome to the Primo's Musings podcast.
Good evening. Today I have the NFC East boys on the podcast, and I'm going to set the stage. I already did like a quick preview of the NFC East as I was doing each and every division. But today, what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it over to the four guys who represent the four teams in the NFC East division and who've already been on the podcast during the draft time. But we're going to give them an opportunity to talk about their team first, do some intros, and then we'll get on to each of their hopes and dreams and for the rest of this year and in the division, but also in the rest of the NFL. So we will start as we agreed upon the order. I'm going to first turn it over to Jamie to introduce himself, then turn it over to everybody else, and then we'll come back to Jamie for starting off for Washington Commanders. All right, Jamie, go ahead.
Thanks, Sri. I'm Jamie Palma. I am a diehard Washington Skins fan, Commanders fan. It's been since the early 80s. I would say I jumped on the bandwagon when times were good, and I stuck on the bandwagon even when times were tough. And it was tough being a Washington fan in Connecticut, but I'm hoping that we'll see more fans when they win the division this year. So.
All right. The Giants guy.
All right, my name's Steve, and I'm a diehard Giants fan since the mid-'70s, so probably a fan, 24, almost 50 years now. And, I've seen 4 Super Bowl championships, and I think this is going to be an uptick year. I'm feeling pretty optimistic, a lot more optimistic than you guys feel about the Giants. And we built well in the draft. We got some big free agent pickups that I'll go into, and optimistic.
Cool. I'll turn it over to the Eagles guy here.
All right. Well, I'm Chris, your resident Eagles fan, and like a lot of you guys, other than maybe the Giants fan, not easy living here being an Eagles fan, but and I've seen one Super Bowl, so it's well, someday we'll get another again, but maybe before I die. But excited for the season. I'm reading we're the odds-on favorite in Vegas, so that's a good sign. Probably not a good sign, but we'll see.
Finally, the Dallas Cowboy fan.
Wow. Mark Ruwenko, 40-year plus Dallas fan. Winning the division is nice. We need to get over that hump there. I feel with the draft, we did a nice job. We have our first rounder, our third rounder, and our fifth rounder in the starting slots and playing. So I'll go into that a little bit down the road. But signing CeeDee Lamb, obviously huge, right? And then we just got to worry about Dak, getting him into a contract. But I feel confident in the team that, we will. We have a tough schedule, but I feel that, we could repeat as division champs. Would be like the first time going back to back in like 20 plus years, because the division is pretty tough. So with that said, let's push it back to the Washington fan and get his analysis of the draft and where he thinks his team is going to land with this franchise QB.
Thanks, Mark. That was some intro. And just to point out, I say I've been a fan for over 30 years, and you guys are up in the 40 and 50 years. It's not because I jumped on late. It's because I'm much younger than these guys. So I'm just clarifying. Let's start with, I know one of the questions we wanted to go over was, what is it going to take for Washington to win the division? I think the biggest thing is pretty obvious, but it's really protect Jaden Daniels, the rookie, skinny quarterback. I know he's not fragile. He put on a little bit of weight, but I mean, really, they don't have many options behind him. Mariota is their backup, and then Driscoll's the third string, and neither one of those guys really. I mean, if it gets to that, the season's done already. Daniels looks good. I think if they protect him with both a combination of offensive line play and smart play calling to get the ball out of his hands quick, and also the running game. Last year, they totally abandoned the running game. I think that'll be important to make sure they keep that up to just really limit the amount of chances that someone will get by and hit them pretty hard. They got to play better defense. Last year, they were like the worst ranked defense in the league, I believe. They need to also, on the other side, they got to pressure the quarterbacks. So that'll create bad decisions. And then really, it's the only hope for our secondary is if they can create those bad decisions and our secondary has an easier shot of creating turnovers, which is my third thing that I really have to help win the division. They got to limit the amount of turnovers on offense, and they got to create turnovers on defense. They didn't do a good job of that last year. I'm hoping with this new coaching staff, this new scheme, that'll be something that'll help them get to the division championship. So their strengths, which is funny because last year this was probably their biggest weakness, but I think their linebackers are a big strength. Signing Frankie Louvu, who's a stud, and he's already showing that in practice, and with Carolina last year, and then Wagner. I mean, Wagner is older, but you need a leader on the defense, and he's hands down the leader on that defense. He knows the scheme. He's played for Quinn before. So I think that's a good thing. That's going to be a big difference to keep everybody on the same page. Their interior offensive line is a strength, in my opinion. They grabbed the center from Dallas, Biadasz.
Yep.
They got Sam Cosmi, who's a mauler inside, and then they got a backup from the Chiefs, and he's good. He's been showing that he could block. So those three guys are anchoring the middle, and then you got, believe it or not, I think the tight ends are a strength. Zach Ertz is showing that he's still got it, at least for now. We'll see what happens when game time starts, the regular season starts. And they got a couple other guys that are rookies that look really good. So, and that'll be a big help for Jaden Daniels. And then, of course, Terry McLaurin's looking really good this year. And I'm going to throw the punter in as a strength because they may need him quite a bit, and he can really boot the ball.
He's going to be busy.
Yeah, he's going to have a lot of chances maybe. The weaknesses, I think their cornerbacks, defensive backs are a weakness. They have the same guys as last year. What's that?
Your head coach, too. Your head coach.
Get out of here. Shree, could you mute the Dallas Cowboys speaker, please? Is there a way to mute him? Because I don't think he stopped talking.
He's not head coach material.
Yeah.
We need a Trump debate. Mute.
Go ahead.
Mark hasn't stopped talking since its intro.
Yeah.
How do you mute him? All right, listen. The coach, that's one of the strengths, but let me get to that. Cornerbacks, definitely a weakness. They were the same guys as last year that got burned all over the field. Their defensive ends, I mean, they got Armstrong from Dallas, who was a really good backup coming off the bench, had, I think, 7 or 8 sacks last year with limited time on the field. So they're hoping he could take the next step up. But really, they don't have any starters on the DN side. So, you got and I don't know if I mentioned this for strengths, but their defensive tackles are obviously the interior O&D lines, I meant to say. Payne and Allen are strengths, but then their backups are really good too. But then on the outside, you don't have much. So we'll see how that works out for them. And then their offensive tackles, they didn't do anything to address their offensive tackles. They got a rookie in the 3rd round who's looking pretty good, but he got injured. He's got to play, but now we don't know how he's going to look in a game. And other than that, their right tackle questionable. So I think that not addressing the offensive tackles could be a mistake. Maybe they signed someone off of the wire, if that's been cut. I don't know, but I'm a little surprised they didn't sign someone yet already. I do have a question mark on 2 positions. The kicker, their kicker got cut when he got into some trouble beginning of the year. So now they've been kind of going through a couple guys that haven't worked out. They just traded for a guy from Cleveland, Cade York. He looked good in the last preseason game. He made 3 out of 3 kicks. That's a question mark, though. Is he going to still be good during the year? And then the quarterback. Is Jaden Daniels going to be as good as he's looked so far? Or when, the real NFL people start scheming against him, and are the wheels going to fall off? So Surprises. All right, so I do have a couple surprises. 33. So this is I just looked this up right after all the cuts happened. Out of the 33 draft picks under the Rivera era, only 12 of them are still on the team. So starting from 2020 to 2023, less than half remain on the team. And
You call that an error or an error?
era.
Oh, okay. I thought he
Yeah.
I didn't want to say Rivera era, but
meant.
just said it. So anyway, 12 of them are still on the team out of the 33, and only 5 of them are starters. And I count Emmanuel Forbes as one of the starters. He's a borderline starter.
Is he
Anyway,
gonna be a bust?
huh?
Are you guys regretting not taking the Patriot D back?
Yeah, Gonzalez.
Yeah.
During the draft last year, I was screaming Gonzalez.
Yeah.
I was high-fiving, and then they picked him. I was like, who the hell is this guy? Anyway, and you know, I didn't realize I was going to know more than the staff last year. But anyway, so that's kind of a surprise to me that they've just been cleaning house.
Mhm.
I'm surprised that, given that they have a lot of cap room, that they're rolling with the defensive ends that they have right now. They even cut KJ Henry and Andre Jones, both draft picks from last year that were promising rookies, and they cut them. So they're probably going to end up on the practice squad, but you know, someone could take them. I don't know. The rookies from last year's draft have been they were cut and they're added to the Rivera heap pile, I guess. The other surprise I have is that they never signed Stephon Gilmore. They signed a few guys from Dallas. They had a chance to sign Gilmore. He was a free agent. They didn't even have to give up a draft pick.
Did he go to like Minnesota? Did he go to Minnesota?
He's in Minnesota now. He just signed, but they had all this time. They could have signed him. They had time. They had cap space. He would have come in and really helped that cornerback room a lot, and they just let him get away, and now they're stuck with these guys that I don't know if they're going to be very good, but we'll see.
So Jimmy,
Three?
yeah,
Can
what's
I
that?
just add something? Is this too much time?
no,
Yeah.
Is this
This
too
is
much
gonna be
time
6
for the
hours.
Washington team?
Yeah, we're gonna
The
have a
team
6
that's finished the
hour.
last 5 years.
We got to fast
Too much-
forward this guy.
So here's the thing, right? I
Well,
like
what about my
the
final thoughts? I went through all my stuff. Final thoughts. I'm wrapping it up right now.
no. We'll come back to final thoughts later, Jamie. But I had a question
Yeah.
for you before I
All right.
come to the Giants guy, because I know we talked about what it takes to win the
Yeah.
division, and that's a thing. It's a growing pains here, and a new quarterback. No one expects a rookie quarterback. Even CJ Stroud was a once in a wonder kind of thing. You were 4-13 last year. Realistically, what do you think? But after the draft, after all the everything else, after the cuts have done, after watching the preseason, what's your realistic prediction for the Commanders this year?
I mean, I'm going to stick to what I said the last time we were talking, but I'm going to say they're going to go 9-8.
Okay, that's like a
Maybe-
five games swing. You're thinking. Okay, wow.
I'm writing
Yeah,
that
there you
down,
go.
dude. I'm writing that down.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah.
Yeah.
We'll write it down. It's recorded.
Yeah, write
anyway,
that
so,
down.
Yeah. So Steve, you being the most passionate Giants fan I ever know, and I've talked to many Giants fans. So I'm going to give you the floor and kind of go with what Jamie was going through in terms of, what does it take to win the division, your strengths, weaknesses, and then after all of them are done, we'll have a couple questions in between if anyone wants to ask Steve, and then we'll get to Chris and then Mark. Go
I'll
ahead.
be a lot faster.
I know.
Yeah, me too.
Go ahead, Steve.
Was I supposed to go through all of them at once, or were we supposed to go around with each topic? 'Cause-
No, we'll go. That's okay.
We only
That's okay
got
though.
6 hours, so I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah,
in the morning.
Steve's
That's
got
okay.
12 minutes on his battery. 12%.
I know.
Oh my God.
Go ahead, Steve.
Jamie took 10% of my battery, so I just went and got another charge cord.
Yeah.
So I didn't think we were going to allot so much time to a team that hasn't been out of the basement in about 6-7 years.
Yeah.
But
I'm gonna time. Hold on, let me time Steve and see how long this takes.
Okay. All right, that's good.
Daniel Jones. No, I'm only kidding.
Okay.
So, yeah, like I said, I am an optimistic Giants fan. I think the Shane Dable era going into its third year here, they know the pressure's on. They know the New York media. And I think, and then obviously you get the Daniel Jones question, but I think Shane did a good job in the offseason. He went after the lines. That's what he wanted to build up. The offensive line has been the biggest problem of all the issues with the Giants. So I think he signed 3 or 4 guys on the line, and probably 1, 2, 3 of them are going to start. We're going to have a totally revamped offensive line this year. The only 2 holdovers are going to be Andrew Thomas at left tackle, and then Schmidt in the center, who was I believe, their second round pick last year. The other 3 guys are going to be brand new, including Runyon, and then he's the guy they got from Green Bay, who is the former Eagle left tackle's son. And then they went after a right tackle. His name is from the Raiders, Eleanor, I believe his name is. So and then their number 1 pick last year was that 2 years ago. He's going to have to sit behind Evan Neal. He's going to have to see if he can earn a spot. So they seem to be deeper on the line this year. And then they went out and traded for Brian Burns. Brian Burns is a game changer. Our front 7 is going to be pretty darn good this year. Between Burns, Sexy Dexy in the middle, and Kayvon Thibodeau, we're going to put some pressure on the quarterback because they know. And then you throw in Okereke at the middle linebacker position, one of the best linebackers in the game. Our front 7 is really good. The issue we're going to have is secondary. Our number 1 pick from last year, the defensive back, he looks like he's a player, but the other cornerback is really a big question mark. The safety positions seem to be in pretty good shape. They drafted a kid out of the second round this year, I believe, from like Washington or Washington State. It was a Pac-12 school, and he's projected as a starter right now. They lost the X-Man to Green Bay, and they just can't sign. It was a 4-year, $68 million contract. Can't give safety $17 million. Can't give running backs $15 million. Not with the way the Giants made up. Maybe the Eagles can because they're a little set to win right now. They have the weapons. So was totally okay with them passing on Barkley. I think the running back they got from Buffalo, he's going to be more than adequate. He's going to surprise some people. He's not as dynamic as Barkley, but I think he's a guy that moves the chains. And then they got some other guys for the third down receiving backs. So I think the combination, like I said, they're not going to be as dynamic and they're not going to be as athletic as Barkley. Barkley wasn't the best blocker. I think these guys will be better blockers. And then they went out and probably got the best player in the whole draft, Malik Neighbors. I mean, I was praying for that guy to fall to the Giants. I think he's better than even the guy that went to the Cardinals, Marvin Harrison Jr. And the quarterbacks, who knows? I mean, you're always up in the air. Malik Neighbors is far and away the best athlete in the field. He's proved it now in camp. Everything that they've written about him, it's pretty much coming to fruition from what they've seen in training camp and in preseason. So, right now it's up to Daniel Jones. How much can they? He's got the pieces. It looks like the line is going to be better. So, like I said, I'm optimistic. Our weakness is obviously going to be our secondary, but I think the way we get after the quarterback is going to mitigate that. And like Wan'Dale Robinson. So Giants just cut Allen Robinson today or yesterday, Pro Bowl receiver. They cut Hodgkins, receiver. Guy caught a touchdown, had over 100 yards in a playoff game against the Vikings 2 years ago. Giant receiving staff is deeper and better, more talented than it's been that I can remember. So they have, like I said, Malik Neighbors, who will be eventually the number 1, if not the number 1 starting game 1. You got Wan'Dale Robinson, who was a second-round draft pick, who was coming off ACL last year. Really didn't come into his own until the second half of the year because, as they said, it takes a while for that for that type of recovery. And he is, as I mentioned, a slot guy. So he is going to be his strength is his moves within the slot. So I think you're going to see him get a lot of catches, a lot of targets this year. And then throw in Hyatt. He was a guy who was a third-round pick from Notre Dame Tennessee, Jalen Hyatt. He's a
Mhm.
burner. He's going to be able to stretch the field for Hyatt and Robinson. We also drafted a tight end out of Penn State, a fourth rounder, who obviously is going to be a project, but he looks like he's a pretty talented kid. So they have, and they throw in Darius Slayton. You don't even mention him. Guy went out and did caught a 50-yard pass from Daniel Jones in preseason game number 2. He's always a guy that's forgotten about, but he's always like one of the more productive players. So that's sort of like my overview, my
It
prediction.
sounds like a 15-win team based on all these
Oh my God, I know.
all this stuff.
Hey, buy your
Holy
tickets
mackerel.
on the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
That's it. My phone is dying quick here. I am going to say this. My prediction is I might lose you guys.
Yeah.
Giants are going to go at 9-8 as well. I think Eagles win the division because I think they're all in.
Yeah.
As long as Hurts doesn't screw it up, which I think he's got enough talent around him where he shouldn't. But he's got, there's 2 very good receivers. He's got Saquon Barkley. He's got always a pretty good offensive line. They lost Kelsey in the offensive front. So I think they're going to win 11, 12 games, win the division. I think Giants are second at 9-8. I think Cowboys take a step back. They're going to
Wow.
be 8-9. They're going to surprise a lot of teams. How they lost a lot of guys in the line. Dak
talking about?
has
That's my
Huh?
strength.
no, you lost guys in the offensive line.
I think you focused on your own team. Okay?
Yeah. I know. Steve, here's the thing, right?
The Redskins will be the doormat again.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
Steve, here's the thing. You were 6-11 last year, and you gave the quarterback $40 million, and I think I've been hitting that upon our text or this one. I don't know, but you're thinking you'll improve by 3 games just based on Malik Neighbors, your better offensive line, and I think you probably have I'd say tougher road this year than last year, I think, just looking at the schedule. So we'll see. All right, so we'll do this. I want to give Mr. Rogers, whose team started 10-1 last year, went on a little tame spin. Ooh, what happened? Can you guys hear me all? Fine?
Yeah.
I got you.
Okay. All right. And then and we got Eagles next. Go ahead.
All right. Well, I'll try to keep this to under 30 minutes of my review, but no. No. So for
review was
me,
13 minutes out of the 15 allotment that I had. So
with
was
15,
fine.
come on. I thought it was like 5, but either way. But
Yeah.
I'll be quick. Don't worry. For me, I think the obviously we picked up a guy I think most people heard of. I forget his name. He's a running back. Saquon.
Saquon Barkley.
I like. I think Cam Jurgens played a lot anyway throughout the line, so him replacing Kelsey is not going to be it'll be a step back, but it's not going to be huge. I think he'll be fine stepping in there. Obviously, we still have one of the top 2 or 3 lines in the NFL, if not the best. We picked up obviously Barkley, but also Jahan Dotson just last week as a third receiver who is very serviceable and could be a good little a good guy to get a lot of catches, a lot of yards after a catch kind of guy. So I think the defense will be questionable, but we're going to put up points. So I'm hoping, with that being said, that we got 2 new rookie cornerbacks that are going to be, supposedly are going to be super good players, going to make some impacts right off the bat. I'm looking. I'm excited to see them play. They've been good in the preseason, but who the hell knows what that means. I see where the odds-on favorite in Vegas, which scares me because
I was shocked. I was shocked when you said that. So that's definitely true.
Yeah.
The Eagles are minus 120.
Minus 120.
So
I
and
just
then
checked.
the Cowboys are plus 150, and then don't get scared, but the Commanders are 1,100 and the Giants 1,400. So they're not even in the ballpark. They basically say it's a 2-man race, and with the Eagles looking good. I think the defense is going to be the question. We lost some players there. I want to make sure we still have some pressure. We got Milton Williams, Jordan Davis, Huff. Like these guys don't overly impress me, but hopefully Jalen Carter I thought he started great last year, but he didn't end great. So as a rookie, so if he can come back this year and make an impact, I think that's going to be huge. If he can, step up in his second season here, I think he'll be a big pickup. But I think the D-backs have played well. So as long as we can get the defense going, like I said, we're going to score. But as I looked over the schedule, I look at
Yeah.
the other parts within the division. I like the Eagles with 11 to 12 wins. I think the over under was 10 and a half, so I would go over on that. And I'd say we get 11. Like a
Hmm.
lot of these, I think between the Eagles and Dallas, one will get 12 probably, and one will get 11 and coming first. So whichever that is will happen, but hopefully it's us. I'll let Mark go. Unless you have a question, Suri. I wasn't sure.
Well, I think here's the thing. I mean, the way you finished your season last year wasn't great. So, and then you lost some key pieces. You got Kelsey retiring, and then you picked up some offensive weapons. But um, what's your confidence level to say that they're going
Well,
to win the division, right?
I mean, as Steve said, I mean the Eagles they spent a lot of money. They got all the pieces, so I think it's do or die, which means it's going to be do or die. They're either going to go freaking, they'll probably go 12-5, or they're going to go like 9-8, and it's just going to be the end of everything, and
Yeah.
Sirianni will be gone.
Yeah.
And like I think he's on the hot seat here, and if he doesn't perform, or if they don't perform for him, I should say, it's going to be a disaster. And I know we've heard a lot of rumors about Hurts and him not getting along, but it sounds like over the last month or so, it's gotten better, and hopefully that's a good sign. I think Jalen can't complain, right? Like
Yeah.
we said, he's got the weapons now. He's got two great receivers and a third that's very good. We got a good tight end. We got a running back. So this is the year he's got to perform, or it's over. I think,
Yeah.
and for both of them, I mean, whether I don't know that he's the next. What's his name there? Who was my redheaded guy 2-3 years ago? Who was the second coming of Christ for the Eagles and then sucked? But yeah, so he's going to be all right. But hopefully, this is going to be do or die for those guys. And if it doesn't, Carson
You,
Wentz was what I was thinking of. Yeah,
you,
but
you,
like he's either going to be it's either going to go great or he's going to be gone.
so
Especially definitely Sirianni and maybe Jalen if it doesn't work out.
yeah, I definitely think it's a make or break for Sirianni, and I think who's waiting in the wings though, who's like a few games of Don Shula, a guy who's on Pat McAfee's show and could be on with Peyton Manning and Eli Manning is Bill Belichick, who's sitting there. So
Yeah.
he's not going to go to like a 4-13 team. The Eagles have the pieces. So Mark,
Exactly.
I think he's been waiting patiently for 35 minutes.
Yeah.
So
There you go.
I think thanks to Jamie, pretty
Yeah.
much covering the the
Yeah.
Washington Commanders scene
It's
there.
been 28 minutes. There's a timer in the top right. Don't you see that?
Come on.
Come on. All
So
right.
All four people that are listening are not going to be happy.
Yeah.
yeah. So I will say with the Cowboys, so they know how to win the division, right? And they won it past out of 2 out of 3 years. So they know how to win the division. They need to get over. I really think they took Green Bay lightly into the playoffs, looking ahead a little bit there.
Mhm.
So now looking at what we have this year, right? I will say I was a little nervous, because they really banked on the draft. I will say after their preseason games, their first rounder, their two third rounders, and their fifth rounder are all going to be starters. So I think the strength of the Cowboys, as it always been for the years and years, is going to be their offensive line. They have three returning starters with Zach Martin, Tyron Smith, and Steele. And then now they got the two rookies, Tyler Guyton and Cooper Beebe. Now, Cooper Beebe is going to be their center. Obviously, we lost our center to Washington. So I'm feeling good about Tyler. He's going to be the left tackle. He's got a big frame. He's 6'8". He's going to be protecting Dak's, backside. So I feel strong about the offensive line. I feel strong about Dak. I think, obviously signing CeeDee Lamb is huge. They actually said that Brandon Cooks was lined up to be the number one receiver. I know he's been in the league for 10 years, but they say he may actually compete for the one receiver with CeeDee Lamb. So I like that. When CeeDee wasn't playing in the preseason games, Cooks was playing, getting a lot of reps, and that developed another receiver for a slot receiver by the name of Jalen Tolbert. So he got a lot of reps with CD being out. This guy really shining. 2 touchdowns last preseason game, and then you got Jake Ferguson, who's a stud as our tight end. Now to our running backs. I feel like we cannot have Dak throwing the ball 40 times a game and then running for 18 times because you need balance. So obviously we got Zeke, but he's not going to be your one. We got a running back by the name of Rico Downs, who can maybe give some good time. Deuce Vaughn, and then obviously everyone kind of heard about Dalvin Cook being in Dallas today. So maybe I like Cook. I think him and Zeke and Rico can be the three-headed monster, right? And kind of really start running the ball a little bit to give Dak a little bit, where he can't be throwing the ball, like I said, 40 times because that doesn't bode well for anyone. The defense sits back and then just kind of bait them. So I think offensively, we're going to be good. I think we're going to put points on the board. And then defense, obviously we had a little bit of a setback with Delron Blond getting out maybe 6 to 8 weeks with a stress fracture. Obviously, he probably led the league in interceptions last year for the Cowboys, and maybe was leading the league at one point. But we do have a rookie who's going to jump in.
Thanks to his coaches, by the way. Thanks to his coaches
Yeah.
that are no longer there.
So we have a new 5th-round rookie who's going to be taking his spot, and he's getting a little bit of reps now. So last name is Carson. He's out of Wake Forest. He was getting a lot of reps already because Diggs wasn't playing a lot in the preseason. So they feel confident with him there. They're going to have Diggs back and then Jordan Lewis. So I feel that the D-backs are going to be okay. Safeties, we got Wilson, Bell, and Thomas all coming back. So that's going to be a plus. Our D line, we got DeMarcus Lawrence, we got Parsons, and for linebackers, we got a rookie in the 3rd round that's going to be starting. We actually picked up Eric Kendricks from Minnesota. And obviously the Mike Zimmer, who is coming over as a defensive coordinator from Minnesota. They have a little bit of history together. Mike Zimmer is super pumped for this defensive team. So I know we lost Dan Quinn, but obviously, Mike Zimmer has a little bit of that defensive background. So I'm feeling confident. I will say that the schedule is tough for Dallas. Besides the division, I'm looking at some of the non-division games. We got to go to San Fran. We got to play Houston. We got to play Cincinnati. We got to go to Pittsburgh. And then we got opening day. We got to go to Cleveland. So, with that said, I do think Philly's going to win the division. I got them at 12-5. I got the Cowboys going 11-6, 10-7. Vegas has them at the over/unders of 9.5. I would take the over.
Which one are you at? Right? Are you right here, Mark? Or is it this one? Delusional? Is it the fitness delusional or beat up on bad teams one?
Yeah.
Where are you at?
But listen, I know Steve maybe dropped, but I'm going to make plans to watch Thanksgiving with Steve again because that's when the Cowboys play the Giants, and Steve can't even enjoy his turkey dinner because his team's going to be down like 30 points. You know what I mean? So
I got to ask you a question, Mark. Does he wear his Giants outfit at Thanksgiving?
Yeah, he wears. We all wear our shirts. We're all pumped up, and it's a good competition. It's fun. It's nothing like in your face, but it's good. You know what Steve does? He grabs a lot of Dallas players for fantasy, So that's his saving grace there.
Oh wow. So
Steve's got Daniel Jones feety pajamas. I think he
yeah,
wears, right?
He's the only guy left who,
I
who
think
still
the way he
believes in
keeps
Jack.
talks about Daniel Jones, I think he could be his like personal spokesman for sure.
Oh my God. Hey,
Yeah.
Steve, what do you have
So
for questions for me?
yeah, so I was going to go. So I
Yeah,
this is the same question I had for Chris. So Mike McCarthy has been a hot seat. Like you
yeah,
every year,
yeah,
anytime Jerry's your owner,
yeah,
the coach is always in the hot seat. Um, I mean, do you think? I mean, this is also goes for your quarterback. Do
yeah,
you think this
yeah,
is a make or break year for your quarterback and
yeah.
coach too?
Yeah, obviously with Dak, I don't think he wants to leave. I think the pieces are there for him.
Hmm.
With the offensive line being young, the receivers are young. The O line is young. There's a lot of good pieces there. I think the Cowboys. I think if Dak goes to like 6-2, 5-1, 7-3, I think they try to make a deal for him there and kind of lock him down. That's just my thoughts. Listen, McCarthy for the last 3 seasons been, 12-5. Like you guys would sign up for that in a minute. So he knows what he's doing. He's got a little bit more control. Um, I mean, listen, Jerry's just got to kind of let him kind of do his thing. Him and Dak got a good relationship. Unlike Philly, with
Hmm.
the QB and the head coach. So I think I think at the end of the day, I think Dak gets signed to a long term contract. I think he stays in Dallas. I think Dallas makes a little bit of a run. I think maybe they get the 5 seed. Maybe they play like a softer Tampa in a division, in a playoff game. Maybe you have to go to Tampa like they did a couple years ago and beat Tom Brady for his last game. We all remember that game. Shrios checking in on you, remember?
Yeah.
But little things like that, I think. So I think Dak gets signed to a long-term contract, another 3-4 year deal. Actually, he led the league in touchdowns last year, pretty close in yardage. But they can't have him. He's not built to throw 30, 40 times. I think he needs to be thrown 25 times. I think he needs to run 3 to 4 times, and then they need to run the ball about 15 to 18 times a game
Yeah.
to be successful. They need that balance. Um, I think McCarthy gets signed to a deal too. Listen. If they don't win the Super Bowl, you're not going to sign the guy. I don't know. I don't want a Belichick coming in there and messing up the whole offense and coming back in again. I like the West Coast offense now. I think Dak likes it, and I think Cowboys have a successful season. I think Dak gets signed, and I think McCarthy gets signed as well for a renewal.
Yeah. Hey, another one I did want to ask you, Mark, before I go to Jamie, um, is the fact that you signed CD Lamb, you're going to sign
Yep.
Dak, Micah Parsons is also there, so you're going to tie up three players with like I don't know, maybe how much 25% of your cap or even more.
Yeah.
That's definitely going to be a big challenge if you want to keep
Yeah.
other players if they're going to have breakout
Yeah.
seasons.
No doubt about it. So Parsons, you do got to lock up. Like he is young.
He's got him.
He's a game changer and in stacking the QBs. He reminds me of a young Lawrence Taylor back in the day. I think Dak is got to take a page out of Tom Brady's playbook and start taking a little bit of a pay cut to get the guys that he wants to kind of get them to the next level.
Yep.
Obviously, if they're going to pay him money, they're going to give him 50 million for, all these other QBs are getting 50 million. You got to pay Dak in that zone, in that range, and then eventually when he gets his money, he's got to pull back a little bit, just like Brady did. To sign the right players, sign the key players, and that's how you win championships and keep everyone together.
Yeah. Good. I will come back to that because I think we'll do like a wrap up on the NFL in general later. But Jamie, I mean, I'm excited for Jaden Daniels. I think everything that's coming out of that, including his coach at LSU, they've been talking him up a lot. And seems like a good kid. Seems like he's going to bring balance to Washington. And again, Dan Quinn, whatever you say, right? He did take Atlanta's, in the defensive yeah, he did take them to the Super Bowl. Oh, your brother Steve is joining in. Look at that.
Charger work. Yeah.
He's
Yeah,
charging. No, he probably
Back in,
charger
guys.
maybe. So yeah, so we're going to ask Jamie, like your thoughts on what's the what's your take on Daniels and what does he need to do to be successful, like especially a quarterback?
Well, he's got to win. So, a couple
He has to
things
stay
real
healthy.
quick. Well, just to go back to Dak Prescott, taking a
Yeah.
page out of Brady's playbook, I think you got to set him up with a supermodel wife that makes twice as much money as him for him to decide to start taking pay cuts. Otherwise, I don't know if that's going to happen. Chris, to go back to what you were saying about the Reds Commanders' odds of winning the Super Bowl this year, right now I think they're at 150 to 1. If you think back to last year, the Texans were 250 to 1 and the Lions were 200 to 1. And they both looked pretty good at the end of the year. So
I'm sure.
you
All
never
right,
know.
I'll take that bet. I'll take
Right. All right.
that.
Let's get back to Washington. So, I mean, I just think Daniels has got to look better than the last 30 quarterbacks that have been on the team, which might not be that hard to do. I got a lap track in the background.
Yes. Somebody watching a baseball game or something?
It's Steven's watching Jeopardy? Who's watching Jeopardy?
Can you hear me now?
I can hear your
Yeah.
Jeopardy.
we hear
Turn
yourself.
on the TV there.
What's that?
Yeah.
Gee, I don't know what you
Put
did
your
to my
background noise.
phone here. My phone, I can't even get it working anymore. This app
Yeah.
drained it. I plugged
You
it.
knew
Here's what I
the
think.
podcast was going to start at 9 p.m. So maybe somebody should be charging the
Yeah,
phones.
I
Maybe.
guess.
This is a Timu app.
That's why I wanted to do my laptop. So,
Good. Jamie.
the biggest, in my opinion, Sri, the biggest changes that is really going to get them to 9-8 or at least over 500 is to have a better season are the new owners, the new ownership group, the new GM, Adam Peters, and the coaching staff. And I know you guys were bagging a little bit on Quinn, but he's been such a great coach so far for the team that the culture has already seemed to turn around 180 degrees. Hearing Montez Sweat say the other day that it was a toxic environment the other year, it's not much of a surprise, but you're not going to hear that at all this year. You talk to any of the players, it's nothing but positivity. They're all like on board with the coach, with the philosophy. It's been a leadership focus, and I think it's making a difference. We'll see if that translates on the field. So far, it looks good. It looks good in practice. It looks good in scrimmages and in the preseason.
Mhm.
But we'll see. So I'm a little more hopeful than I usually am this time of year. I just hope in about 3 weeks, I'm just
I'll check it
refusing
in.
to do
I'll
any
check
more
it in.
podcasts.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey,
But
Jamie, here's the thing I wanted to ask you, right? One thing I did hear about Jaden Daniels is like he's almost like a Lamar kind of thing, but a better thrower than Lamar when Lamar was coming out of college. So that's where I see it. Seems like I was listening to some of the interviews and he seemed like it's almost like a very heady kid. So, again, I'm hoping for the best for you and your team. And
his work ethic
Yes.
is they say he's like the first guy to practice all the time. He's one of the last guys to leave. He's constantly studying. He's learning the playbook a lot quicker than most other quarterbacks have.
Yeah.
So to me, those are all the right things.
Yeah.
And hopefully, again, that's something that'll help translate. That he's
That's
doing
what
everything.
that's what the Patriots were also supposedly drinking the Kool-Aid when they talked about Mac Jones and look where he's now. So hey,
So you got
Steve,
1 year in them.
yeah,
Is what you're telling
yeah,
us.
you're right. Steve, I wanted to get to you before your battery drains out. But
And your TV's on volume 18.
yeah. So
We're watching with them.
realistically, right? If things do go south for Daniel Jones, would you remove him as a captain? I know you have a lot of high hopes for him, but what would you do if the Giants are 1-4?
We should remove him as a captain. Is that what you said?
No, would they replace him? They were 1-4.
Yeah. Well, I think it depends. I mean, if it's his fault, obviously, yeah, you got to do something. I'm not totally sold on. He's got to prove it this year. He's got to.
Something's got some music in the background, I think.
He's got to. I'm downstairs now. Let me see if I can move this upstairs.
Yeah.
But I think he's got
It
he's
is true.
he's got to prove it this year. He's got all the capabilities and all the line. He's got some weapons now, so he's got to prove it on the field. And you'll see if he doesn't do it, they'll move on. I mean, I think
Mhm.
they've
Yeah.
proven that.
Yeah.
Yeah, Tommy Cutler in the background, right?
I mean, they got what's his name, but
Tommy DeVito.
So
yeah,
I thought he had come. Is he still there?
they have Drew Lock as
Drew Lock.
their number 2
Oh,
player.
you guys are all set.
The
Tommy Cutler's
journeyman
still living
Drew
in the
Lock.
basement, dude.
Did Tommy Cullins beat
number
the Commanders
three
last
still.
year?
He borrowed his cell phone.
Yeah, I know.
I think Tommy Cullins did he
You
beat
guys
the,
are pass exchangers.
I think he's got an extra
Charger.
charger over there.
did Tommy Cullins beat the Commanders? He might have. He had a couple
Yeah.
wins last year.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing, though, Steve. I mean, I see where you're going with, Daniel Jones, but when I look at all of the division, right? I mean, Jaden Daniels he's going to get a pass. First year, he's going to get a pass, whatever it is. I think Dak is on the hot seat.
Yeah.
Not for me.
Well, not for you. Okay. Well, Dak
I'm not
is
going
on
to
the
give him
hot
a
seat.
pass. You got to play well.
Yeah, Dak is on the hot seat. Daniel Jones definitely in the hot seat, and I think, and Dak will do well. I think. It's just me. I think, and then Jalen Hurts. I think he's he's their long-term quarterback. I don't think they're moving off him.
Yeah.
Neither is Dallas. I don't think Dallas is moving off him either. But I definitely see the Giants in this one. So in my preview,
Tree,
I
can I
want you
just
guys to
add one
challenge
thing?
me. Yeah,
So
go ahead.
I was trying to find a video to see what Jones had 6 interceptions last year, and all you heard how bad he played. I would fathom the guess that 3 of them were right off receivers' hands last year. The first game of the year against Cowboys, he throws a perfect pass to Barkley, goes off his hands into the other
Right.
person's hand. You can't. That's
Six.
so.
Yeah.
But ESPN and
Bland.
the media is just saying what a terrible year Daniel Jones had. He had 2 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. Their quarterbacks got sacked a combined 90 times last year. 90 times.
Yeah, Danny Dimes. He's got it. Anyway,
Steve's birthday
I
gift right there.
agree.
You see
And
that?
Steve, I see where you're going. That's a good point, though. I think sometimes interceptions don't always get counted. I mean, they always get counted as a
Well,
quarterback.
he only played 6 games and
Yeah,
drew 6 interceptions.
that's true.
Right?
That's true.
And he only threw
Yeah, but he
he
threw.
only threw well
He threw.
he only threw 2 touchdowns. So it's
Yeah.
not like he
Yeah,
You know, I still have to thank
but Chris, did you
Giants
see
fans.
the line he had? I mean, the
Yeah,
Cowboy
the line
game was a.
was-
well, I'm not questioning that, but I'm saying you say he only threw 6 touchdowns in 3 games, like that's good. It's 2 a game still. It's not like
But-
It's better than Mac Jones. For
No,
sure.
no, he didn't throw to a
Well,
game. He threw
Yeah.
6 in 8 games, and 3 of them were off people's hands.
Yeah,
No interceptions we're talking, not touchdowns.
yeah.
Yeah, he
Not
threw
touchdowns,
6
yeah.
interceptions in about 8 games. And
How many touchdowns?
6 games he played all year.
okay, so he threw 1 interception per game, and 3 of them of those 6 went off people's hands. Is my
Yeah.
point.
You can see
My
that
point was
many interceptions.
he only threw
statistic.
2 touchdowns in 6
No,
games.
they definitely had
which is-
problems, but he couldn't breathe. He could not.
Yeah.
He could not get to his back foot and throw the ball to survey the
Yeah.
field. And
I think that's the offensive line issues that every team has. Like,
Yeah,
we don't have an
he
offensive line.
needs
And
he
by
needs
the way,
help.
Steve, I do have to thank the Giants because our kicker Chad Ryland, who got cut today from the Patriots, if he had made the kick, the Patriots wouldn't have had the 3rd pick to get Drake May. And Drake May looked okay, but right now, I'll give you my thing up for my Patriots. I don't think they should start him. I think he looks better than Brissett. Very weak offensive line. He'll probably he'll be like a Derek Carr kind of situation, and I don't want that. So I think I'm willing to willing to have Drake May sit.
I
So-
agree 100%.
Yeah. So, Mr. Eagles, any final thoughts before you guys all want to wrap up your final thoughts? We'll go on the backside. Like, we'll go with Dallas, maybe Dallas, Eagles, Washington. Oh, sorry, Giants, Washington. Sorry, Giants finished ahead of Washington last year, so we'll do that.
Beat him twice.
So, Dallas, final thoughts.
Final thoughts is I think the division's going to be pretty competitive.
Mhm.
I don't think there's going to be any walk in the parks. I think Philly gets the nod for the division. I got them at 12-5. I got Dallas at either 11-6 or 10-7. I think Dallas gets a wild card. I think they get into the fifth seed and beat like a fourth seed, like a Tampa or Atlanta. They got obviously that's a tough road to get to where you want to be when you're playing on the road in the division or in a playoff games. But I think at the end of the day, I think they do sign Dak. I think McCarthy comes back,
Hmm.
and they'll probably say this will be Zeke's last year as well, and then they'll probably send him off to the sunset there.
Yep.
But I like the pieces between the receivers, the tight ends, and the running backs, and I like the defense. I love the offensive line being young and coming back. 3 great starters. But their schedule is very tough with the Baltimores. I wrote a few of these games down. Cincinnati. They got to play Tampa.
We all
They
do,
got to
don't we,
play
though, or no?
Houston.
Don't we all have that same
Yeah,
division?
we all play the NFC South
Yeah,
and
which is
the
actually, you know what?
We
Like,
got
to
to
be
play
honest
San
with you,
Fran. We got
yeah.
to play Pitt. We got to play the Saints, and we're on the road in Cleveland. And then we're playing Baltimore. So we got a tough division. I mean, tough division and tough schedule. But I still think we go 11-6, 10-7, and get into a playoff
But
spot.
Mark, is
Yep.
that acceptable to you? Like 4-5 game, and you're gonna be out again, and you're paying Dak all this money and Lamb all this money, and it seemed like you're just like, okay, yeah,
What's out there?
huh?
What's out there? We got what's out there? What do you got? A Trey Lance who threw 5 interceptions
No.
in the
But
last
my
3
point
season games?
is that acceptable? You're not you're conceding the division to the
It's the same as it
Eagles,
was last
same as
year.
last year, and it's
Yeah.
like, all right, yeah, we'll pay Dak 50, we'll pay Lamb 40,
Well,
and you're just
I
kind of like same old, same old.
well,
As a
that's what the
Cowboy fan, you're
market
gonna
is
have more
dictating.
aspirations than that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Well,
I know.
Listen.
He's realistic.
Like,
No,
Yeah,
well, I think
but listen, like the last 3 years we've been 12-5. Like you
Yeah.
guys would all sign up for that in a minute.
no, I agree,
All
but
you
like
guys.
Cowboys, so you're conceding that Eagles had a better off season and they're gonna be to win the division, I guess.
Well, I think
Well, yeah,
here's the thing, though.
What, say we're going to win every game? We're not. You got to be realistic.
But
and
you're saying
figure it out.
9-8?
No. I
Ten-
said Cowboys are going to be 11
11-6 or 10-7.
11-6.
11-6. Okay, so lose a
Yeah,
division
I
by a
think-
game or two.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
And it's going to come down to it, right? I think, again, there's so many questions in this division right now with the Eagles, the way they finished. And so, again, it's still a toss-up to me between Cowboys and the Eagles. I mean, you never know. Like, one game could flip the division winner, I think. This is just my thing, because I think Dallas has got the pieces. And I would sign, like, for example, I would sign up Dak as my quarterback for the Patriots, because I think he's still an upgrade for me.
But Tree, don't
I-
you think the loser of the Eagles and Cowboys, the loser of the division,
Mhm.
and let's just say they don't go very far in the playoffs, don't you think
Well-
there's going to be mass changes? This is a huge year for both these teams, and if
I
they
agree.
don't make
I
a
agree.
run to Philadelphia's been rumored to get rid of their coach, and Dallas has been talked about a lot. Is just
Listen, if someone goes 12-5 and then they win a playoff game and get bounced in the second round, you're going to clean house?
You're going to clean house?
I
No,
don't
you're
think
not
yeah. I
cleaning
think the
house.
Cowboys
I
are the
don't
Cowboys
think
are the
so.
Yankees. They're the Yankees.
No.
Yankees aren't happy with an
Mhm.
AL East
Yeah.
division. Cowboys
Yeah.
need more. They can't be like they can't be one and done again. I don't think that's
Well,
acceptable.
I think here's the thing, though. I do think that even if the Cowboys get that division, say they get in the division playoff, they could be playing like the fourth NFC South, like, because that's the team. That's the
Yeah,
division.
that's the
going-
Tampa, the
And you know what?
Carolinas, Atlanta.
No team there is like right now. I don't see like Atlanta, or I don't see any team just like
Nope.
being lights out. So there is that element of that. Like, I think I would almost feel like Dallas finishing second in the division is probably gives them a better shot this year. I think this is just me.
Okay.
But so this is good. Any last minute thoughts? I know everybody's in the NFL. We'll pivot to the NFL quickly. Everybody in the NFL is chasing Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs, and I'm sure, like, I feel what other teams feel when we had Tom Brady. So Mahomes, somebody's got to beat him, and I don't know who. Who do you think are the teams in the NFL? You can pick the NFC or AFC. Are a real threat to Kansas City
Houston.
here?
I think Houston, Detroit,
Baltimore.
Bengals.
Baltimore. Yeah, Burrows has got to stay healthy.
Yeah.
Baltimore.
Did they just sign Travis Henry on Baltimore?
No,
right?
they,
Yeah.
Travis
no, they,
Henry.
they
Yeah.
signed. What'd you say? Who they signed?
Who's the running back? Henry, the big
Yeah.
guy.
Yeah, they
Yeah,
signed Henry.
he's on the Ravens now. So
Yeah.
you got him, Lamar. They're going to be tough to stop.
Derrick Henry.
Yeah.
They're not Travis. Derrick Henry.
Derrick.
Yeah.
What'd I
yeah.
say?
I was at Travis Henry.
Travis, yeah.
So you
Yeah,
guys think
he's the old guy.
think the threat to Kansas City is going to come in the form of Detroit or
Baltimore. AFC is going to be Baltimore and maybe Houston.
Baltimore's all in. They really loaded up.
Yeah.
So is
on the
Houston.
NFC?
Houston's the
So is
next.
Houston.
And then you got the Bengals and the Bills up there.
Yeah.
So,
And how about
Yeah.
the NFC? NFC, I just heard one Detroit team. Is that
yeah,
49ers?
I mean, they got Niners, Lions, Eagles. They're the
I think
I think-
Niners take a step back
Always.
this year.
I think so
Well,
too,
they're-
Steve.
If
Yeah,
you
I
look
think-
at the odds again, it's still KC and San
Yeah.
Fran if you're betting. I'm not
Yeah.
saying that's 100%.
Yeah.
But I'm
Yeah.
saying
Yeah.
they're
Green-
by far
Yeah.
the two odds on.
Green Bay, you got to put up there too.
Yep. Yeah, I think so. They're the youngest. They're probably the
Yeah.
youngest team in the league right
Would
now.
love
And
to.
Jordan
I
Love.
have a hot take.
Oh, go
I
ahead.
think Green Bay is going to upset Philly week 1, and the wheels are going to fall off in Philadelphia.
Mm.
Because
Well, I
Sirianni,
don't think it's much of
there's
an
going to
upset if they
Sirianni
lose
and
in
Hurts are
friggin'
going to be
Yeah.
arguing on the sideline.
It wouldn't bother me at all.
I agree.
Fans are going
If
to
they lose
be flipping
to
cars in Philadelphia more so than normal.
I agree, Jamie. I
mean,
think there's a
it's gonna be a
huge hangover in Philadelphia. I don't think that's I think it's important for them to get off to the right foot because they lost to the Giants at the end of the year and they got beat
Yeah.
by Tampa, and so they're a huge hangover. If they get off on a wrong foot and go 1-2, I agree. There's going to be a lot of turmoil, and I'll tell you
Yeah.
one thing: that division, if that happens, could really open up.
They're
Well,
starting
see.
with They got Green Bay as a night game on national TV
Yep.
on Friday.
Yep.
And then then they play the Falcons the next week, another night game, Sunday
Yeah.
night game. Falcons look a lot better
The
than they did
Falcons, I
before.
think,
They got
are
Kirk
the
Cousins now.
dark horse of the,
The running
of the
back's good over there.
NFC.
The running
they're
back,
good.
they just got
Bijan
Judon as
Robinson.
a defensive end.
Yeah.
I mean, the Falcons kind of stocked up too. So
Yep.
that could be another upset. And if they start off getting upset twice on national TV, it's going to be a mess
The
in Philly.
Bears
I
have
don't
a
think losing to Green Bay is an upset, and Atlanta is probably barely an upset. So
the Bears
So
have a
Green
lot
Bay
of
is,
have a lot of weapons too.
Yeah. So we talked about like the teams that are threat to Kansas City. Every year, just like the Houston Texans, with CJ Stroud, they were the surprise team. Who do you guys think will be the surprise team? And not counting your teams. Which teams in the NFL do you think would be a surprise team this year?
Washington.
No,
I'm
not,
I said
Mark.
not counting your team.
I'm saying it for Mark. He's going to say Washington.
No.
I think the Bears could be if this Caleb Williams is all cracked up to be. They have a lot of weapons. They have
So Steve, you going Bears? Chris?
I mean, I'm trying to look at who's a dark horse. Like if Cleveland qualifies, I like
Yeah,
Cleveland.
they do qualify.
Um,
They're
Yeah,
I like
they have
Atlanta.
the same odds as the Bears. Yeah,
I like Atlanta
that.
as my dark horse. I like the running back. I like
Yep.
the QB they just signed over there. They got the backup QB with
Yeah.
Pinnock. I think Atlanta could make a run. I think they can sneak under the radar and make something happen.
with Cousins. I agree.
Yeah.
I'll say Denver. I'll say Denver.
With the rookie?
because- Yep.
Go Knicks.
Yeah, there'll be a surprise. I don't think they're gonna get deep into the playoffs, but I do think they'll surprise a lot of teams because they kind of turned it around last year under Peyton, and then Bo Nix is looking pretty good. So
What about the Chargers with Harbaugh and the quarterback Herbert?
Oh,
They
yeah,
got to do
Herbert.
something.
maybe the Patriots. I see they're the.
I'm a
way.
diehard
Can
Pats
you
fan.
believe
I'm a
the
diehard Pats fan.
Pats?
I
The
don't think
Pats
they'll
have
be
the
the
worst
surprise of the
odds in
NFL.
the NFL.
I don't think they'll win more than 5 games, 5 or 6. The way I'm
So
looking at it,
Shree, I got a question for you. So, who wins your division?
I still think it's the Bills. I
Wow.
don't trust
What
the
about-
Jets. I don't trust
Yeah,
the
I
Jets.
think the Jets can maybe be dark horses.
They could be a dark
Miami.
horse.
I think Miami wins it.
Okay.
Yeah, that division's tough,
So look,
man.
yeah, three great teams.
And then
Well,
the
I still
Patriots.
think
Yeah,
It's role
not
reversal.
them.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is crazy. Yeah.
Shree, did we say lobster between the Giants and Patriots on our bet?
Oh.
no. Hold on. We did say one thing. Whoever wins, if you win the Super Bowl,
Yeah.
we're all
The rest
we
of
all
us
say.
pay for
Well, how
it.
about this
Yeah.
though?
Yeah.
Super Bowl is going to be a very tough thing. Let's see, and I think I'm in there for that. All 5 teams, right?
Sure.
We're all in. I mean, I'm going to bet whoever gets the best record. And I know, as a Patriots fan, I don't think I'm going to get 10 wins or whatever. But I'm still willing to take a bet, maybe a stupid bet like this.
Oh, I would have
But-
won it last
Just,
year, damn
just
it.
to go
Yeah.
out.
Yeah. So whoever wins, they get treated by the other 4.
Deal.
Yeah.
Deal?
Deal.
Okay.
For best
Unless
record, you're
it's-
saying.
Unless it's the Reds.
Best record.
Unless
Best
it's
record.
Washington.
Best
What restaurant? What
Well,
restaurant? I say that because I should have a weighted odds. Like I get to pick Ruth Chris.
You and Shree should get
I get to
extra
pick
points.
Ruth Chris.
Yeah.
Dallas and the Eagles. We get to do like
McDonald's.
Well,
takeout.
do Jamie and I get like a handicap, just like golf? You get like a handicap?
That's what I'm saying. We get to pick a fine dining.
Yeah, we
Now,
start with.
let's go to a
yeah.
nice restaurant. We'll go a nice one.
Okay.
Nice
I think
steakhouse.
that. Yeah.
We
All
should.
right.
All right.
Guys, this
All
is
right.
good. But before you guys drop, I do want to hit the. I'll hit the stop the recording, and then you guys can hang on for like a minute or so. Let me stop.
All
the
right, buddy.
recording so that it all records and uploads.
So are we going to do it?
Thank you for listening. Primo will be back soon.